I think we should just dive right on in. My name is Cynthia Warner. I'm the Kentucky Arts Council Director of Arts Education Programs, and she needs no introduction, but Jessica Green is an academic program consultant in the Division of Program Standards, Office of Teaching and Learning at the Kentucky Department of Education. She focuses on statewide implementation of the new visual and performing arts standards, and I am so excited because I have been waiting for these implementation resources for months. And I'm just going to turn it right over to you, Jessica, so you can dive right on in.
Awesome. Thank you, Cynthia. And of course, the Kentucky Arts Council has been such a great partner in getting this word out to the field. And yes, I am just as excited about the implementation resources because it's tedious and it takes a while to make sure they're right, but it's so helpful to have real examples of how to utilize these standards in the classroom. And so that's what I hope to present to you today. And so, if you need any information about me, this is the little bit about Jessica. I'm from Nashville, came to Kentucky to go to Berea College, did my bachelor in vocal music ed, and then a master's in conducting, and then stayed in the area. My dad was like, come back to Tennessee. And I said, but I'm certified in Kentucky. And so that's really one of the hooks and just the great relationships I was able to build. I taught high school choir. I taught a little music theory, a little music history, media arts. And then I decided to do my educational specialist and my principal certification and superintendent certification at UK. I also got to open a few schools in Fayette County, one as the choir teacher, and then as an administrator for an elementary school and an elementary and middle school. So really good experiences. My son is in kindergarten now, which is wild to me. And it's weird to see 5 and 3 beside my children's names because next month they will be 6 and 4. And that doesn't seem possible. My husband teaches at Frederick Douglass High School. And earlier I was joking with Cynthia. I said, I don't math. He's a math teacher and I married him so I would not have to math anymore. I'm also the music director of the Kentucky Performing Arts Bradley Awards. If you're in the theater community, that's the regional awards that leads to the Jimmys in New York. So I really get to have fun with that. So everything you never wanted to know about me is right there. I'm an open book. So if you ever have any questions, let me know. Before we move to the next slide, if you want to just drop in the chat your grade level, your area, just so I can kind of float between aiming some of these things towards what you will actually be using. So if I have more art teachers than music teachers, I like to kind of skew things your way. And I know Carrie is doing double duty dance. So if you are also doing double duty, I understand. So as you drop that in the chat, we'll go over kind of just our group norms. This is just kind of one of those things I like to do is set the expectations. We presume positive intentions. We listen carefully to one another, open to new ideas. We're all at different places in our journey. And so you can ask any question you want. I promise there is no judgment in your questions. Be open to productive struggle, ask the questions, and allow a chance for everyone to participate. All right, so I know we've got Dan with visual arts, and we've got Kelly, elementary music. Ooh, modern band. Yes, that's taken off nowadays. That's awesome. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and keep moving, and you can keep dropping that in the chat. So the essential question for today's time together is how can the VPA resources support educators in implementing learning experiences that are high quality, standards aligned, vibrant, and engaging? A lot of our other content areas have high quality instructional resources, and the arts have not really gone into that world. So my goal was to give you that high quality instructional resource as well. So that's the goal here. All right, I'm going to keep moving forward. So the first thing is a little bit of homework. And Cynthia is going to drop this link in the chat, and I'm going to walk you through the website. So kystandards.org. And when you go there, my screen is going to switch. We practiced earlier, so this should be seamless. We'll see, maybe, I don't know. But you'll see this page first. It's got the Kentucky Department of Education logo up in the top left. Perfect. And then you have these two bars, explore your standards or your standards resources. Before we get to that, if you scroll a little down further, you will see the standards newsletter in the bottom left. If you sign up for that newsletter, anytime we release a new implementation resource, you will get an email with the link to it right there. So you would be the first to know. So standards newsletters come out once a week and it's got all the content areas. And we are getting ready, and you'll hear about this at the end, to announce another new resource. And so that standards newsletter is the way to go. So just your name, your email, and then you will be signed up for it. As we explore, you're going to click the green button this time that says your standards resources. And then you'll see on the right side content areas. Everything is color coded in our world, and our color is this teal. You can see the art palette, visual and performing arts. And once you click that, you are there in the home of visual and performing arts. And of course, if I move too quickly, you could say, slow down. But here at the very top, you will see those are the standards. The standards document is front and center. And when you open it, it opens as a PDF and everything is there. And I'm going to go back. Let me see. Make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat. Are we good? Okay, good. So when we go back there, you'll see the second row. It starts with archived 2015. It's going to disappear like next week because those are the old standards. And now by law, that front and center standards document is there. So then you have professional learning modules and some other things that I'm going to show you. So the first resource that I think is super helpful is first row all the way to the right, the standards at a glance. So this is a document that will help you to communicate with administrators, parents, other teachers about the changes to the standards document. So there's the link to the standards there. Then you have the writer's vision, what changed with the architecture and layout. And then on the back, it has organization of the standards, grade level overviews, the coding, and the changes to the high school music strands. So this is just a quick 2-page front and back overview of all the changes to the document. So that would be one of the first areas I would suggest starting as you're diving in if you're becoming familiar with those new standards. If I go back to the VPA webpage, you'll see a couple of other things. This course code standards, it's the second row here, right in the center, is really going to be something that is useful for high school teachers. Everyone uses course codes, but high school teachers really need to understand what the course code is. So you can see elementary, middle, and high. I'm going to go to middle for now. It opens this document, and every course code for visual and performing arts in Kentucky is listed on this document. So if I'm dance, let me make this a little larger for you all. So if I'm dance and I want to teach a middle school choreography course, there's already a course code for that. And now these are all aligned. I just clicked that choreography class, and now they're all aligned to the new standards. So you can print this document and have all of the middle school dance standards in one place that align with choreography. And so, as I said, this is something as a former high school teacher that was more convenient for me, especially when I was getting into scheduling time and needed to have conversations with my counseling team. So let's look at one of the art. Here's an art portfolio course right here. And so if I click that again, it's going to open up to a document that aligns with the standards for that course. So then you don't have the middle school standards cluttering it. You don't have the elementary. If you just need your area, that is the first thing. I'll pause there. Any questions, comments about the at a glance or the course codes documents? Or general praise for either of those documents? Very good. And you'll have some time if we have the time today to kind of explore those course code documents if you need that more in your life. The other thing I want to show you is a digital CAS. And so this is something I'm gonna need to, let me see if I can switch. real quick. Hold, please. Okay, here we go. So this is one of those things that was available to counselors as well because it aligns with Infinite Campus in order for us to put grades in for the course code. But we have now made it available to everyone to use. So if you go to the digital CAS, you'll see the standards in a digital format. So if that's something I know we're used to the National Core Arts standards being in a digital format. So now I can look at this tree view and let's do some music this time through. There's the music standards with an introduction to what music looks like in Kentucky, the kindergarten standards. And if you click kindergarten, it comes with an explanation of what students should be doing at the kindergarten level. And then each standard has the enduring understanding. Let me do one thing to make this a little clearer. There we go. Enduring understanding, the essential question, the key vocabulary, and then a link to the key vocabulary is there as well, to the music glossary that takes you there. So this is just another one of those digital options to look at the standards. I will say this. One of the coolest things, you've got the tiles. The tile look is almost like this stacked plates to see how the standards come out of the anchor standards and the artistic process. But then you can also export it as an Excel file. So if you are in a standards-based grading school or district, you now have a list of all your standards in a way that's an easier checklist to create. So instead of having to copy and paste from the PDF, you could just print from here. So this one, I have not given you the link to this one. I'm so sorry, Kelly. I saw your comment there. Let me put that in the chat for you. And I'm gonna make sure. Usually I'm working on two screens. Today I'm working on one, and man, it changes the way I live my life. Let me see if I can get that for you real quick. Did that do it? Let's see. Yep, there it is. So there it's through a company called Satchel Commons. But that's a really cool option as well. It looked like there was another question. How to get to, Sarah, was yours also about the digital CAS as well? Okay, perfect. So we're good now. Yay. All right. So those are just a few of the options that we have there. Normally, I start with the getting to know the CAS. So let me take you to that real quick. It's on that same page where we have all these resources under professional learning. And let me move. Let's see. Cynthia, am I still good? Am I showing the website now? Yes. Oh, perfect. Okay. So under the professional learning module, you'll see the getting to know the CAS. And so this is 3 different modules that talk about the overview of the architecture of the new standards. And it talks about the creating, performing, responding, artistic processes. It talks about the anchor standards. And so if you click on it, you'll get an overview of these modules. You'll get a PowerPoint with all of my notes in the presenter notes. And then you get a note catcher that aligns with every step of the way so that you can go through it. So you can do it that way, especially if you're wanting to lead a group of teachers through it. However, and I am going to put this in the chat for you too, I'm going to take you to our new professional learning site. If I can get there, let me go back. I'm going to close that window because that's a lot of tabs now, and that's going to confuse me. Okay, here we go. Let me get to, okay, here we go. This might be the largest break in talking that I get for the night, so this is kind of nice. All right, so if you haven't heard of it already, if you weren't already on the newsletter, this is the Kentucky Learning Hub. I don't know if I sent the right chat. Did that link work for you all? Let me know. Perfect. I don't know why I'm questioning my abilities to share links today. Isn't that weird how that happens? You're like, I don't know what that is. But we used to have the professional learning bulletin board, and any professional learning that you could get what we call ELA credit or professional learning credit for was listed there. It is now all housed here on this Canvas site. And so if you go to it, it's a self-paced course of that getting to know the CAS, and you get 4 hours of credit for completing it. There's like questions that you can respond to and reflections and all sorts of amazing things to help you with that learning. It is completely free. You would just click that CAS Visual Performing Arts from OTL. When I click it, it's not going to let me because I made the course. Then you click on enroll and it makes you a student of that course. And you can go through step by step, and everything that was on the note catcher is now embedded on Canvas. So that's a really good option. I would probably bookmark this site because the next resource I'm going to show you, or the biggest one I'm going to show you, will be available on this site in the next month or so. And so this is going to be the new way to do some training. If you don't have me in person or virtually, this is the next best thing. Any questions about the Professional Learning Hub or anything that we've talked about so far? I'll check the chat to make sure we're good. Okay. Very nice. All right, I'm going to close this tab and come back to the site. Here we are. All right. So the next thing is what we're going to spend quite a bit of time on, and it's the newest implementation resource that shows you how to truly implement the standards in your classroom. And so if we go back to the kystandards.org, I don't know if it's going to let me click on that. I've got too many things open now. It is. Okay, there we go. Or maybe not. 1 second, please. Here, I'll just go back to the chat and click where you put it in there, Cynthia. That'll be probably easier for me right now. Or I might have to open a different window. We'll see. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm going back through those steps to our visual and performing arts. And here we have the newest student assignment library. And so that is this little checklist here. And when I click on that, it's going to open our first resource, which is an implementation resource. We're going to dive into all of these, but what I want you to see first is that there is an example for every arts discipline. So dance is a 7th grade example, but everything else is an elementary example for this one. Media arts has 3rd grade, music 3rd grade, theater is 3rd grade, and visual arts is 4th grade. And so this is just a really great way to start to dive in. And so I'm going to start with a video, and that gives me a chance to finish my hot chocolate while it's still hot. So I'm going to play this video for you, and then we're going to dive into what this is.
Welcome to this introductory video on the VPA Interactive Resource. An interactive resource is designed to support you when implementing a high-quality, vibrant student learning experience aligned to the Kentucky Academic Standards for Visual and Performing Arts. This interactive resource includes a teacher notes document and an implementation PowerPoint. Together, they provide guidance, detailed procedures, and all links, handouts, printables, and graphics needed to successfully implement each segment of this learning experience.
While this interactive resource contains several materials to support you in this work, remember that the KDE does not determine school curriculum. Therefore, this example is not the only way for students to engage in the arts.
First, let's start with the teacher notes document. Within the teacher notes, visual cues are used to indicate the different resources available. This icon indicates the inclusion of a video with discipline experts. These discipline experts are classroom teachers who provide guidance on what each segment of the learning experience looks like in the classroom with students. Make sure to click this icon when it appears to gain further insights from these teachers.
The italicized text identifies foundational information from the CAS for Visual and Performing Arts. Similarly, the information contained in choral boxes, which are surrounded by dashed lines, include information pulled directly from the CAS for Visual and Performing Arts. This information includes the standards aligned to this learning experience and definitions of key vocabulary.
While the choral boxes highlight information you need to implement this learning experience, the green boxes, which are surrounded by solid lines, identify activities for students to complete. These include student-friendly learning goals and success criteria or guiding questions for reflection. Next, let's look at the implementation PowerPoint.
The implementation PowerPoint is designed for you to use as a resource to execute the learning experience and follows the same procedural order as a teacher notes document. The slides include information and graphics that can be projected and shared with students. These student-centered slides utilize those green boxes we mentioned earlier.
The implementation PowerPoint also includes the discipline expert's video overview of each segment of the teacher notes. In these videos, the discipline experts use their own teaching experience to provide additional insights and guidance on how to use these resources with students. Now that you have a general idea of how to use the teacher notes and implementation PowerPoint for this interactive resource, it's time to dive in with an introduction to the learning experience.
See, you thought you weren't going to have to hear my voice again during that video, but it was all me. But that is the introductory video to what an implementation resource is. My friend there, Lauren, helped with all of this process, and now she has moved into a leadership position. She's still helping, but in a different capacity. And so what you just watched, like I said, is the first video that you see. And so I'm going to go back to some slides for a while and kind of break down a few of those things that were highlighted in there. So interactive resources have companion videos, a Word document that is the teacher notes portion, like the how-to lesson plan, and then a PowerPoint that already has the slides that can be projected for students. So you don't have to create anything if you don't want to. But you're also very welcome to use your own knowledge to improve or to change anything that's presented. So that's the first thing. All of the videos are available on a YouTube playlist, which is awesome because I know I do a lot of driving. I live in Lexington, work in Frankfurt, and I travel the state a lot. So sometimes I just want to hit play and listen to something. So the playlist allows you to hear the entire experience through the voice of the teachers who helped design it. So that is an option as well. Now, when you're going through, this next slide has a lot of text on it. You've already seen in that video what each of those is, but what the interactive resource series is, what the implementation PowerPoint is for, it's just the text of what those are. And so we had some really big goals coming out of standards revision. One was to highlight a vibrant student experience, which aligns with the KDE United We Learn goals. And so we think about students asking the question, why is this important? Why am I learning this? And we wanted to really start with that and to make sure that we were engaging students throughout the entire learning experience, making it authentic to them, giving them the opportunity to personalize it when they can, and then valuing differences and eliminating barriers along the way. The other part we wanted to do was talk about the new architecture and setup of the standards. And so we wanted to make sure there was a place to talk about the anchor standard and the enduring understanding and the essential question and key vocabulary. So you will see all of that highlighted throughout these implementation resources. Also, I just really love this new layout. It makes me very happy. The other part was supporting common language between all 5 arts disciplines. When I first brought this to leadership, I said, yeah, I want to do 5. And they're like, that's a big lift. I said, yeah, but there are 5 disciplines and we can't release one and not the other. And so the common language between those 5 arts disciplines allows us to have that community between educators and for students to see how all of the arts disciplines are connected. And so that's very important. So you'll see that throughout this as well. And then again, I mentioned the companion videos, one of which you've already seen, that talks about what's in each section. So for every section, you'll see the title of the section and then that play icon. If there's a play icon, you click it and the video will pop up for you to be able to watch and learn about this through the lens of the teachers who wrote it. So then there's the essential question. The examples you're going to see next are for music. I just wanted to pull all from one discipline at this point, but you'll see that choral box. It's choral because it's a responding standard. So we color coded to match the standards. And so the essential question for all of them, how does understanding the structure and context of music inform a response? That's the same K through 12 music. So that's a really nice way to have that synchronicity. Then you also have areas in the implementation resource that draw you back to the Kentucky academic standards, including what artistic literacy is, what the artistic processes are. And so that was really important to us as well. And then you see a box that's green. If you see a green box, that means that is student facing. We had a lot of requests for some support with teacher clarity, learning goals, success criteria. And so we have examples of what that could look like for your classroom. So we have the standard earlier, and it goes into a student-friendly learning goal of, I can use the elements of music to respond to the personal context of music. And that personal context is underlined because it is a key vocabulary word, and it lets you know that we've provided a definition for that. So everything is right there. And I mentioned that PowerPoint. If you see a green box in your document, that means there's a PowerPoint slide ready for you already. So you can just show that to students, or you can adjust it. Here's another green box, student reflection questions. And so that's a really important part. Students don't always get the opportunity to reflect on their learning. And so we wrote some questions that align with the experience. At the same time, teachers need to reflect also. And so provided some reflections for us as educators. Sometimes it just starts with, what did the kids like? What did they like about what you just taught? So starting there, and then acknowledging were there challenges? How can I address those challenges? And if it means just reteaching, or maybe it's chunking it differently, or you have to just kind of stop for a moment and think about that. And so there are questions for teachers as well. And then the last part in the implementation resource is a scaffolding connection. And so this is an area that shows, as much as I wanted to do one for each grade level, that's a lot. It will happen slowly. But we did provide a synopsis of what the third grade experience that we did give you can be adjusted for middle school or adjusted for high school. So even if you're not an elementary teacher, you can still kind of look at this lesson and go, oh, if I just change this, this, and this, the rigor is appropriate for the grade level I teach. And it just may give you some ideas that are different for you. And so that's what that is, your scaffolding connections. The scaffolding connection also includes the enduring understanding, which again is the thing that connects us through all of those anchor standards. So response to music is informed by analyzing context and how creators and performers manipulate the elements of music. So that's the crux of it all. One more thing before we dive in, I'm going to show you, we partnered with KET, Cynthia's old stopping grounds. There are some new animated videos that, because we were doing responding to the arts, that's how we first made the connection. There's Everyday Art Foundations, responding to the art. And so we included this as an external resource that can be brought in. And then there's also Artsville. If you've not been familiar with Artsville, I'm going to play both of these videos for you. I promise you this time you don't have to hear my voice. So here is responding to the arts. I'm gonna get the website open and show you around real quick. And so one of my favorite things is it comes with support materials for teachers. So here's some teaching tips. You click it and it pops up for you. And it talks about what you can talk to students about before they view the video, while they view the video, and then after. So it's a really great resource there. There's also discussion questions and vocabulary, which is fantastic. And then down here, there's about the video, but then also you can click over, and there, when you sign in, you will see the standards aligned to our new standards. So it's just a really great opportunity to see another resource that connects. Okay. Here's my favorite. My colleague Lauren that you saw in that introductory video loves the little animated Phantom of the Opera. It's just the best thing ever. So enjoy responding to the arts.
Did you know that there's a fancy art word for when you stand in front of a painting you love, dance to a favorite song, gasp while watching a big scene in a play, or even walk away from a statue you think is kind of boring?
Hey, I've seen a lot of them today.
It's called responding. Responding is like hearing what you think an artwork is saying, and then answering back. Whether it's out loud, like telling a friend you love a book, or just to yourself. There are lots of ways to respond to art. One is to notice or describe what you see or hear. What do you see in this painting?
I see a cow in a field, and the sun is shining.
I see lots of colorful boxes.
I see a bunch of people, all looking at that one guy.
I see a bunch of pretty flowers. Another way is to analyze.
What is analyze?
When you ask yourself certain questions about what you see. What colors? What shapes? Does it look soft or rough?
It looks thick and goopy. What else?
Ask questions about what you think the artist is trying to say. Does it tell a story? How does it make you feel?
It makes me feel happy.
Last is evaluate.
Evaluate.
Right. Like, do you like it? Why or why not? Or do you like some parts and not others? And how would you compare it to other works of art? Engaging with art is a skill you can build, but it's also really fun. We have so much art and music because people love to make it, but also love to look at it and listen to it. Art can make you feel and think new things.
I think it's working already.
So with
Did
all
you
of
know-
these responding to the arts implementation resources that we have, they connect to this video as a resource that can be played for students with those discussion questions embedded. So this is just a really great way. The newest is what is creativity, which I am very happy about because we just did a creating, which is awesome. The other is Artsville. That was Everyday Art Foundations, and you'll have some time to explore it. But there's Artsville as well, and there's all of these different options. Here's a video on dance, the elements of dance, but also at the top here, it shows what grade level this is aligned to. So grades 3 through 5, 6 through 8. So you can kind of glance at the video and see. Those of you who use Google Classroom, there's a button to add it to your Google Classroom. So this just speaks really well to some of the resources that we use. Also, you can download the videos and use them on other platforms. So if you're like, the day the internet goes out, I need to have a video ready to play, you can go through and download these resources ahead of time, which is really nice. The other really cool thing about Artsville is these videos are available in Spanish as well. So there's Los Elementos de la Danza, the elements of dance, already in Spanish for you. So that's really nice. I do love this instrument families video. There is a mistake in there somewhere that my orchestra folks usually spot first. So we will watch this one. It's 1 minute and 24 seconds. We'll watch this one and then we will move on.
Welcome to Artsville, where there's a performance around every corner, like at the concert hall, where the orchestra is warming up. Look at all those families. Not the ones in the audience, the ones on stage. Instruments are divided into 4 groups, or families. Strings are an easy family to spot. Musicians play them by using a bow or plucking their strings. And the brass family, they definitely aren't shy. They may have valves or slides, but all make sound when musicians buzz their lips against cup-shaped mouthpieces. Woodwinds vary in size and pitch, but all require breath or wind to make sound. Finally, percussion. They're the family that helps the whole orchestra find its rhythm. But how do these families come together? That's the job of the maestro. Here we go. Shh. Right. Quiet. Take it from the folks in Artsville. Amazing things happen when families and people collaborate.
So just really engaging. The animation is fun. Also those close-ups of the bowing and the lip buzz, all of those things that we want to show students. It's really nice. Cynthia, did you spot it?
Well, I think maybe, but I was gonna say up under where it says collection, Artsville, you can click that and see all of the videos in that
Yes.
collection. I'm sorry, I just wanted
No,
to
you're
point that out.
fine. You're
Um,
exactly right.
um, so I don't know. I don't know if I spotted it or not.
That's
I'm
okay. One of my favorites in this Artsville collection is the audience etiquette, because I think we are all in the performing arts trying to reassert audience expectations. And so we had some teachers who were like, I now send that video home before our first concert for kids to watch with their families before they come into a concert. It talks about when to applaud and being just the things that we need. And it's again available in Spanish. There's another note value video that's really cool. Like, all of these are fantastic. And so Artsville is definitely a place you should visit. Get you some frequent flyer miles through Artsville, and I think you will enjoy that. So that's one of the newer resources. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint.
So will you tell the mistake?
They, in one of them, I think it was that one, but they said that the double bass was holding everything backwards. And I've seen that video a million times, and I don't think I looked closely enough to notice that. I was like, well, that happens. Yeah, and Carrie, you're exactly right. That audience etiquette, it's so important. And being somebody who got to open new schools, I got to kind of establish the way we did things. And so approaching it from, this is the way we do things. So we know, but let's just talk about how we do things. It's really nice to be able to assert that. So let's talk about the people who helped write these, and then we're going to dive into a few of them. So Lydia Austin and Ashley Holbrook Oldham, they're both dance teachers in Fayette County. They both served on the standards revision team. Ashley is more of a district dance teacher, so she goes to several schools K through 8 throughout the district. And Lydia helped me open Brenda Cowan Elementary. So instead of PE, they have dance, and the PE standards are taught through dance, which is really awesome. She's also the choreographer for the Bradley Awards, so we work together frequently. And so they did the dance videos and helped to write that lesson. Fantastic educators. And then we have media arts, Grace Cottom, who is a media librarian at an elementary school in Frankfurt, and Abby Lane, who works at KET. She develops a lot of the resources. She wrote the scripts for the Everyday Art Foundation videos. So that first one on responding to arts, she is the script writer. Her daughter voiced one of the characters. It's just really cool to see. There's also another media arts video where her daughter was in. It's just really nice. So they did the media arts video. For theater, Alicia Henning, who is a theater teacher in Fayette County, and Austin Vale, who is an arts administrator now. Again, Austin was also on the standards revision committee. Abby Lane with media arts was also. And so they did the theater example. And then for visual arts, if you are involved with KYAEA in any aspect, you probably know these two faces, Sarah Horn and John Vogel, both of which helped with the standards revision process. Sarah actually helped with coordinating the NAEA conference last year, the national that was held in Louisville. So she was a big voice in that. And John, I think, is either co-president or vice president currently of KYAEA. And then for music, Alyssa Davis and Mary Elizabeth Hinton, again, both who were on the standards revision committee. Alyssa is a KMEA elementary music teacher of the year. Mary Elizabeth Hinton, in addition to playing my wedding back in 2013, is in charge of the education portion of the Lexington Philharmonic. So these folks are very knowledgeable. They were very involved in the standards process. And so their input was so valuable. So I'm going to go back to our kystandards.org. And we're going to look one more time at that student assignment library. And let's see if I can remember in the comments, did we have more music, folks, than, I think it was a tie. Let's start with visual arts. Let's start with visual arts. So that first one you click is the teacher notes document. It's nice and colorful because we like color. And so if you see that coral color, it fades into the coral because this is responding. You've already watched this background video. That was me yapping at you about how to use this. And then you have the overview of the learning experience here. And then the section called teacher preparation. I'm going to zoom in for you a little bit here. So for teacher preparation, Let me close my comments so I can see my screen. There we go. Am I the only person who sings when they talk? Okay. So with the teacher preparation, there is a link to everything needed to prepare before teaching this. So there's that responding to art video that I mentioned. There's this resource called Why Your Next Critique Should Be a Gallery Walk, because we're going to do a gallery walk in this. And so if there needs to be some support there, there's an art skill video, Elements of Art. We're going to be writing a Cinquain poem. So there's the graphic organizer that you will give to students. I'm going to click that, and that's going to open as another link and a printable worksheet for you to give to your students with all of the steps there. It prints sideways because we know that third grade handwriting needs more space. So there's that for you. And then there's a graphic organizer about describing artwork. Again, when I click that link, my graphic organizer opens up and I can print the 35 to 40 copies that I need for my 33 students and the ones that they're going to lose. There's also word banks. This came from the brain of John Vogel. He said it's so hard for third grade students to transition from emotions to art words. And so these are word banks that talk about emotions that are aligned to the elements of art. So I'll show you that real quick. And it's divided by shape, color, line, and texture. So if a student wants to say it's sad, maybe the lines are drooping because they suggest heaviness or loss. Mysterious, maybe the color is dark and they're using rich colors. So this is standard aligned and discipline aligned language that is appropriate for third grade. So that's there for you to be able to provide for your students. Also, because we're talking about simile in this learning experience, there's a word bank for simile. And because we're encouraging students to talk to one another, there's suggested Kagan structures that can be used, and we reference that throughout. So it might be do a turn and talk for students to talk about the emotion they found using the word bank provided. So it's all right there for you, which is really nice. We also are going to ask the teacher to share examples of artwork. And so instead of making you spend the little time you have doing that, here's a link to the Kentucky Virtual Art Museum and the Speed Art Museum with curated examples of artwork that you can use for this example as well. So while each teacher preparation section is different according to the learning experience, according to the discipline, everything you need for that learning experience will be right there at the beginning. Then it gets into the alignment to your actual Kentucky academic standards. And again, there's that coral color, that's the anchor standard and the process component. There's the standard, compare responses to a work of art before and after working in similar media. There's the essential question, and then there's how to translate this to a learning goal for students and to success criteria. So everything in these first few pages is teacher facing. This is how you prep, your teacher prep moment. And then when we go to the next page, it's all student facing. So I mentioned that you've got the videos, but you also have the green boxes that let you know that this is already a slide that's created for you. So when you open the PowerPoint slides, slide number 2 has the learning goal and success criteria. So let's visit that PowerPoint for a moment. I'm going to go back to the student assignment library. And when I go to the visual arts implementation PowerPoint, it downloads it for me. Now, this is also linked in that same document, but if you wanted to download both and have them side by side as you went through it, that's the way I would do it, because that's just the way my mind works. So while that's downloading, any questions, comments, concerns, noticings, wonderings?
I think it's amazing.
Thanks, Cynthia. I did not bribe Cynthia to say that. Good. Okay, as that's downloading, we'll go back to the PDF. I'm going to show you a few more things. There's the definition of elements of art. Again, that's going to be on slide 3. So everything in a green box already exists for you. Let's watch one of the videos. This is, I think, Sarah, if I can remember correctly. So here's Sarah talking about this section.
After reviewing the elements of art, students will now use them to analyze an artwork in this next section. Responding using elements of art. Let's walk through this example using the artwork Strawberry Delight by Kentucky artist Alice Gatewood Waddell. Ask students the following questions as they view the example. What do you notice? What elements of art can you identify?
So you'll see even within the video, we use the actual slides that students will be seeing so that as you're learning what to do in this, you can view it together. The other important thing is in each description of the videos on YouTube, it takes you back to the full playlist. So again, here I can click play all and every video will play in order. There's the description and everything there. So all of those pieces are right there for us to use, which is really fantastic to see. And again, there's the student reflection, the teacher reflection, they all align with the different portions of the learning experience. All right, I think is my PowerPoint the responding to the arts? Perfect. So there you go, slide 2. There's the learning goal right there. And because you have full editing rights and you download it, you could copy and paste this. Some schools have required PowerPoint structures and things like that. So you could copy and paste everything. Also, everything is linked in the notes. So the artwork, Strawberry Delight, is linked so you can open it up to the full site. We did attributions for every piece of artwork as well. We did choose a Kentucky artist. We were very, very specific about that. When you present this particular slide to your students, you can see that we grade out the area that they're not doing yet. They are only focusing on section 1. It doesn't matter how many times you say that, they're going to still say, which section are we working on? So you can just kind of point and say, just the section 1, everything else is grayed out. That's all we're working. Well, which word bank do we use? Describing the elements of art. So we tried to give as much help as we could. And you can see when they move on to section 2, we did put an exemplar in case students need to see words they could have chosen, or if a teacher needs some assistance there. Same thing with the third section. Section 2 turns into an exemplar: happy, excited, calm, energetic. So everything is right there. We also, because we did this with some students, included some pictures of students completing the work as well. And then because he did a gallery walk, he did take pictures of how to structure this gallery walk for this lesson. And look, there's that responding to the arts video already embedded here for you to use. So everything is there for you. It's a really nice way to be like, oh, I don't have to spend that time. I can spend my time really creating with my students. So then we'll look quickly at, let's do dance. And actually, yeah. I'm just going to pull probably just a video from each one. Oh, I know which one this is going to be. This one, there was a video they wanted to include and we could not find a resource. And so I said, well, you're going to create it then. Or what? It's like, yeah, well, where are we going to do it? And I was like, I got a few friends who owe me favors. So we called up a friend and said, can we please use your dance studio to record this example? And she said, yeah, let's go. So this is, let's see, guided improvisation. And so this is the video they created. They are the students, I am the teacher.
Teachers, this video is designed for your professional learning and is not intended as a resource for students.
At the end of this video, you should feel comfortable facilitating a guided improvisation focused on the sub-elements of force.
As we demonstrate, we invite you to get up and dance with us.
And so there's the graphic organizer they're going to use with the example. We included Hubbard.
All right, I'm going to call out a sub-element of force. For example, if I say heavy, you will move your body in a heavy way. When the music begins, move through the space. Heavy.
So they are moving like middle school students. And then the second example is the Alvin Ailey group. So here's that song example.
Bound.
So you get the point, but I did tell them they didn't do enough TikTok dances for me to make this as realistic as possible. So the second version of this project that we did with them, we actually pulled in students to do the student portion, and I got to not yell out heavy, which was fine with me. That's great. But again, here's that whole playlist linked right there. And you can see that's that guided improvisation dance. They use the structure that's in the implementation resource. We talked a little bit about artistic literacy. Here's a quick write that goes with this implementation resource for dance that is aligned to the dance standards. So if you're an administrator saying, how are you supporting our literacy goals in the school? You can say, well, here's one of the quick writes we've done. Here's some of the reading. Here's some of the, so you can give those resources as well. So that's dance. Let's see. I want to show you theater before we move on. I will quickly say that media arts is a green screen project. And I did go to Frederick Douglass High School because I was there. And again, somebody owed me a favor and had their students create some examples, which were really, really cool. And then for music, we did a sound story, which was really fantastic. And we used one of the HQIRs that's widely used across the state, CKLA. We used Goldilocks and the Three Bears, a familiar story, and students used instruments to create the timbre of each character and explain, well, Papa Bear needs a large hand drum because he moves with heavy feet, or Goldilocks needs a slide whistle because she likes to, flirt around and skip and things. So that was a really fun one. With theater, Alicia and Austin hated what I brought to them at first. I'm not afraid to say that. They absolutely despised what I brought to them at first. And I said, well, make it better. They said, it's just not as engaging as we would hope. And I said, what do you want to do? And they said, well, Lexington Children's Theater is doing Charlotte's Web. I was like, say no more. So we went to LCT and we watched their production of Charlotte's Web. They gave us the professional footage of a few scenes so that they can be played in classrooms. We interviewed their scenic team on how they designed and the trial and error of designing the web for Charlotte and how they changed the words on the web as well. And so I want to show you just a few moments from that. It was definitely more engaging. I can take it when I'm not hit the mark. So here's their interview with the scenic team backstage.
Hello and welcome to Lexington Children's Theater. My name is Gabriel Slusser. I'm the technical director.
I'm Leica Myers, and I'm the charge artist and assistant technical director.
And we'd love to tell you and show you a little bit of the scenic elements that we use to establish the setting of the show and enhance the storytelling.
First off, we have this bus from Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus.
And we've also got this craft from our touring production of The Little Mermaid. And then below us, you can see these are acting cubes that we paint and repaint for all kinds of shows. This treatment is from The Reluctant Dragon.
So then they go on and Gabriel takes us to the set and shows us the web and talks about all the pieces they used to engineer it, the trial and error of that didn't work, so we had to redo it. And then we talked to Charlotte herself, and she's gonna show us how she changes the letters.
But it just looks like a nice word. And then I will take this off and I will grab the next word that is hung on a set of hooks and I will get it. And then just following that same pattern, I will take the hooks. We actually marked these so it would be easier to see which one's which. We start with the orange. So I go up, hook the orange. We make it look like we're taking the time to make the letters. Get the blue, that. And then finally, we go over. And that is how we change the web.
That is terrific.
And then the last part, they bring in the actors who interact with the web to talk about how the web influences their character. So with all of that, it was more about how scenic design affects the storytelling and the character development. And so they go into Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. How does the bus interact with the characters? Jack's Beanstalk. How does that affect the story? And then because we have the freedom to design everything from scratch, they made all of these graphic organizers that go with the videos, and everything was a spider theme. Then we talk about the Itsy Bitsy Spider. What would Itsy Bitsy Spider put in her web if she needed to communicate? And they start brainstorming as a group what Itsy Bitsy Spider would say. And then they design using classroom art materials, the web, and put their word on the web as well. And then there's an additional reflection of a design statement. And if you were to make this on a stage, what materials would you have to use to make it larger, to make it sustain? So it flows throughout that entire process of trial and error, feedback from your peers, very guided feedback. Students need to learn how to give and receive feedback in the arts. 2 stars and a wish to give feedback, one thing that you thought was a star about their design, and 1 wish that you have about their design. I wish that the word was an exclamation point at the end of help. It would make it more severe, you know? And then again, there's that student reflection, teacher reflection, and then what this would look like at the middle school level and the high school level, so that you can expand it. So that is the interactive resource. I was lucky enough to take this out into the field last month. Well, actually it was November, I guess. Yeah, that was November. It's a new year. I keep forgetting that for a moment. But I did take this. Let me see if it'll let me go back to that slide. I'm trying to move things around. I apologize for that fumble. Here we go. But I did go out into the classrooms. I worked with a teacher in Woodford County and in Madison County, and they implemented the music implementation resource. And the bottom right, I guess my right, you can see 2 boys sitting on stools playing rock, paper, scissors. They are fighting over who's going to be Papa Bear and why their instrument is better for the timbre of Papa Bear, while the others are filling out the form. You can see this young girl here is very invested in why Goldilocks needs to be the marimba. She was very, very adamant about it. Then one of the other teachers did their movement exercise with scarves, because she said, and I quote, "This class can't handle that much freedom." I said, I get it. So she knew her class, and she said, I wanted them to get that point of the movement, but they needed more structure. So we did scarves. They stayed in their circle, in their space, and they moved the scarf appropriately. So, you know, that's the thing about this. It's knowing your students, you are the experts, and being able to say, I like this idea. However, I needed to tweak it. And so somebody took a section and moved it before another one. You have that freedom. Nobody is watching over your shoulder saying it has to be done a certain way. So please don't feel if you decide to embark on these. And so I'm going to send to Cynthia those links here. Well, you really have all these links now, so you really don't need it, but I encourage you to explore some of these, especially KY Learning Hub. There's already the Getting to Know the CAS module up, 4 credits for that learning. And then kystandards.org has everything that I've shown you today. And I hopefully you've already signed up for the newsletter, because coming soon is creating artistic ideas. Dance is an elementary example this time, and it'll be choreographing a theme. And media arts is refining media. They're doing podcasts. And I worked with some students out of Woodford County to create podcast examples. Music is refining composition using Google Music Lab, a free resource. So you're talking about music technology at that point. Theater is doing character choices, and I worked with the Appalachian Shakespeare Center at a EKU to do some video examples with full Shakespearean costumes, which is really fun. I don't know if the commissioner was expecting that to come down the hallway that day that we filmed. And then visual arts does collage criteria, and this is talking about refining your art. And collage is an easy way for students to play with their layout, their composition, and step away and make changes before they glue it down. So just talking about students looking with a refining eye at the arts. So that will be out soon. Really excited about that as well. And of course, if you ever need anything from me, or if you're like, what we really need for implementation is this, please email me. My work email is there, jessica.green@education.ky.gov. My personal X Twitter account is there. I only post about the arts. And my work on that site. And then if you just need a general KDE related arts question, that email is there and their accounts. So I would encourage you, just try new things, even if you just look it over to see that you're already doing great work, because you are. But I'm always happy to help.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I mean, I'm going to dive in. And I'll probably have to watch this again.
Yeah.
And so that's just how I am. You're getting a lot of great feedback here.
Yay.
Jessica, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And
Always amazing.
I was going to say, anybody who wants to try one of these in their classroom, if you want me to come see it, I will drive to you. I will come. I want to see these in action, and I want to celebrate the great work you all are doing. So just send me a message and say, hey, we tweaked this or we tried this. I'd love to hear.
And it was great seeing so many people, familiar faces.
Oh, got a great group, man. Great
Yes.
group.
All right. Well, thank you. And everyone, this is being recorded, so it will end up on our YouTube channel, the Kentucky Arts Council's YouTube channel, so that you can go back and watch it again if you need to, like me. All right. Have a great night. Thank
Happy
you.
Monday. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Cynthia.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Sarah.